If you saw the legacy media's headlines last week following Tennessee's special election, the congressional election, you might think that the Republicans are in big trouble. Republican Matt Van Epps won Tennessee's 7th congressional district by a 9-point margin, which the media pointed out is less than the 22-point margin that President Trump won that district by in 2024. But the makeup of that congressional district gives Republicans just a 10-point margin. So on my weekend program this week on Capitol Hill, I spoke with House Speaker Mike Johnson about that election and about the upcoming midterm elections, and I'd like to share part of that conversation with you. Here's the speaker.
Hey, Tony. Today I'm coming to you from the green room of the Fox News studio in New York City. But aside from this background, we are focused on every city, every district around the country. And Tennessee 7 was a bellwether of great things to come. I know you've seen the media narrative. Everybody's heard the media narrative that this is some sort of negative sign for us, but it's exactly the opposite. We had an extraordinary candidate there, Matt Van Epps, who's a combat veteran, a Christian husband and father, just a great selfless public servant, a patriot, and he won a decisive election there in a district that we should win. It's a Republican district, but the numbers actually reflect something very positive. It's rated by the Cook Report, that's kind of the, how everybody evaluates House seats, as an R+10. He won it by over 9 points, and it was a large turnout. Almost 180,000 voters came out on a special election in the middle of a holiday when most people didn't even know there was a race on the ballot. So we feel very good, very optimistic about the midterms, and this is just one more sign of that.
So how'd the media miss all of that? I mean, high turnout in a special election, that obviously tells you that voters are enthusiastic. This is an open seat, and so when, as you said, the Cook Report, kind of the benchmark in evaluating districts, a 10-point Republican district. This is a new guy, open seat. The whole country's focused on it in terms of the left, and he wins by 9 points. I mean, that's a huge victory.
It is, and I went in, I was there the day before the election on Monday, before the election on Tuesday. Spent the entire day with him. We did, I think, a dozen events, about 10 hours. He has Nashville and about 14 surrounding counties, but Matt was everywhere. He worked hard. He put out a message. It is the message that is so important to the American people. We're going to have an extraordinary record to run on in the midterm elections this coming fall, and we are going to grow the House majority, Tony. I've been saying this all along. The media hates what we've done. They hate that we've had one of the most productive Congresses in the history of the institution with so much accomplished and so much ahead of us. And so they try every day to try to divide and create these false narratives. And it's not going to work. I mean, the facts are going to show through, and I'm excited about the months ahead of us.
Well, Mr. Speaker, the Supreme Court this week handed you another piece of that puzzle with saying that Texas can move forward with the redrawing of their congressional districts, which should result in a couple of more Republican seats coming out of the Lone Star State.
Yes, it will. And what the Supreme Court affirmed is what we have all known and said from the very beginning. Texas followed the law. They had the right to draw a fair map that accurately reflects the population of their state. It's a deep red state, and that's what this map reflects. And the court said, yes, of course, the states have the right to do that. Now, there's a number of states in various stages of doing this same thing, some red states, some blue states. We'll see how it all shakes out at the end. I think by most analyses, our party will benefit, will net a handful of seats out of that. But here's the thing for me, Tony, I've got to win in whatever maps are produced. And I feel very good about this, whatever it is. We're going to run with great candidates on a great record, and we're going to demonstrate to the American people the stark contrast between the two parties and the two visions for the country. Ours is the one that will make America great again and continue to do so.
Well, again, making reference to the Cook Report, they say if both sides, you mentioned California, that's still being litigated, Texas now moving forward, but if both sides gets their way in their redistricting, it still could lead to 2 to 6 new seats for Republicans. So that'll give you a huge margin to work with in the next Congress.
Anything bigger than 2 is great for me, Tony. We've been working with, as you know, with the smallest margin in history at most points along the way. And still, by God's grace, we have delivered an extraordinary record. And we have so much more to do. We have an aggressive agenda for the new year. Affordability is going to be the big thing, of course, and bringing down the cost not only of healthcare, but of the cost of living, cost of goods, all the rest. And we're beginning to do that. You have the lowest core inflation rate right now in 4 years, lowest gas prices in 4 years. You have the highest wage increases in almost 6 decades. And that's all before all the main components of the big, beautiful bill become effective. And that happens really beginning in January. So great days ahead.
I do want to talk about that in just a moment, because that has been an issue. It's the pocketbook issues. It's the kitchen table issues that are motivating a lot of people. But before I do, I want another question about the court. There's still another case pending before the court that could have significant implications for the midterm election. And it comes from our own state of Louisiana that has a case before the Supreme Court waiting on the court for a possible decision. Any idea when they might issue a ruling?
I wish I could say. We were sort of expecting that early to mid-December, so it could be any day. Maybe the Texas decision is a signal that is coming. But of course, what's being litigated there is Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, which is be a big thing. It would make news around the country, of course, because it has huge implications. So we'll see. Look, I think it's good for the court to weigh in on these things and resolve these disputes so that we have certainty going into that. The clock really matters here, because qualifying for all the races next fall in many states begins very soon, and we got to get these things figured out.
All right, that was my conversation with House Speaker Mike Johnson over the weekend on This Week on Capitol Hill.